Mr. Tunde Fagbohun, representing the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries, to join the suit was thrown out by the court with a fine of 2 million naira.
The National Judicial Council has defended its decision recommending the name of Honorable Justice Uwani Abaji to the President for appointment as a Justice of the Supreme Court. In a statement, the NJC explains that a publication by the Civic Society Network Against Corruption had asked President Buhari not to forward the name of Justice Abaji to the Senate for confirmation. According to the NJC, the group had premised its objection to the appointment of Justice Abaji on a report which allegedly named him as one of the judicial officers under investigation for allegedly receiving bribe. The NJC explains further, quote, sequel to the request of the Attorney General of the Federation, in 2016, Honorable Mr. Justice Abaji and 7 other judicial officers were directed by the Council to recuse themselves from performing their judicial functions pending their investigation by security agencies. It further clarifies that Justice Abaji and 5 others were recalled, as only 3 out of the judicial officers then under investigations were arraigned in court. Since then, Justice Abaji is said to have been sitting in court and no investigation agency has filed any new allegation against him. Well, that's it from Abuja. Back to you, Ijoma.
Lord Terry. The incorporated trustees of TIV, the umbrella body of the TIV nation, have instituted a 550 billion naira fundamental enforcement rights suit against President Muhammadu Buhari and the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. They're demanding the sum as compensation for damages for the victims of herdsmen attacks in Benue State. Others listed as respondents in the suit are the incorporated trustees of the Miyetti Allah. Apart from the demand for monetary compensation, the plaintiffs are asking the court for an order directing President Buhari to provide adequate and effective security and protection to all surviving victims and members of the affected communities in their ancestral homes and everywhere in Benue State. The suit chronicled the several attacks by armed herdsmen in the state, leading to destruction of lives and property, including schools, hospitals, worship centers, markets, as well as farmlands. Now, the trial judge has ordered substituted service of the court processes on the respondents through newspaper publications, and hearing is fixed for October the 24th, 2018. The Enugu State government has set up a 9-man committee to deal with issues of encroachment of structures and activities on the grounds of the Akanu Ibiam International Airport. At the team's inauguration, the state deputy governor, Cecil Lezilo, pointed out that the action was to rid the airport of intrusions and it's in keeping with safety standards.
March 5th, 2018, the Minister of State for Aviation arrives to inspect the newly resurfaced Akanu Ibiam Airport runway in Enugu State, southeast Nigeria. He relays his findings to his host, the governor of the state.
The contractor has not finished because we needed to acquire more land, at least 1 kilometer either side of the runway. The runway 26, 1 kilometer, and runway 08, also 1 kilometer.
7 months down the line, a committee is being inaugurated to make the recommendations a reality.
This all-encompassing committee will finally deal with all issues relating to the encroachment of land around the runway of the Akanu Ibiam International Airport and other related matters, and advise the government on all necessary steps to be taken to ensure full safety operation of the airport, which include the relocation of the mast to a new site.
We'll do it with the speed required to ensure that we play our own little part in supporting the state government's commitment to ensure full operational activities at the airport.
For the airport manager, who says work on relocating the mast has already begun, the efforts of the committee will put problems of poor lighting to rest.
At the moment, we have lights at the edges of the runway and the ends of the runway, but we don't have the one that extends beyond 1 kilometer from the end of the runway, and that is very critical. At one end of the runway, which is the 26, you have a market that is still there. That one will still impede the installation of the approach light in that area.
According to the Minister of State for Aviation, only if these changes are made can the airport operate more than daytime flying in true international style.
From aviation, let's take a look at some business news. Here's Anne Waudu.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma, and welcome to Business News. The Senate has approved President Muhammadu Buhari's request for the implementation of the new external capital raising of $2.7 billion and the external capital raising of $82.5 million to refinance the balance of $500 million matured Eurobond from the international market. The chairman of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt, Senator Shehu Sani, who presented the report, says the approval will reduce the cost of borrowing and debt profile of the country. The Senate is, however, advising the federal government to reduce its request for more external borrowing and source for better ways of generating revenue locally.
That is to approve the issuance of $2.786 billion from the international capital market approved in the 2018 Appropriation Act. And two, that the Senate do approve the issuance of $82.54 million to refinance the balance of the $500 million matured Eurobond in the international capital market. Three, that the Senate do approve the issuance of the above, but advise that the federal government shall do everything possible to reduce or limit its request for more external borrowing and search for other means of generating revenue internally. This is to avoid a cleverly managed reconquest debt overhang of our country.
Let's take a look at the Nigerian stock market. It ended in bearish sentiment today following huge profit-taking across all four major sectors of the NSE, particularly the industrial goods sector. Let's join Tosin Additional for the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The domestic stock market failed to sustain the modest recovery earlier recorded in Tuesday's session, as renewed profit-taking by short-term investors hit Wednesday's performance. The NSE's main index reverted to negative territory, down by 0.87%, as heavy sell pressure from four key sectors of the market knocked off 104 billion naira from the total value of listed equities. Top three worst performers out of 22 losers are the share price of Pharmadeco, UACN and Law Union, while the best price performers among 10 gainers are the shares of Continental Reinsurance, Catex and Africa Prudential. Overall volume of shares traded for the day stands at 240.76 million units of shares in nearly 3,000 deals, with the shares of Zenith Bank, UBA and Fidelity Bank the lead volume drivers. That's the Stock Market Report. I am Tosi Additional.
Thanks a lot, Tosin. US and European markets have ended midweek trading session mostly in the red following reports of upcoming interest rate hike by Federal Reserves and 23.4% drop in European car sales last month. Meanwhile, it's a positive performance for African and Asian markets. And that's Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Joma.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10, middleweight world champion Canelo Alvarez signs a 5-year, 11-fight deal worth $365 million in the highest-paying athlete contract in sports history. That's on Sports. Stay with us.